you are upset with me, kitty. Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. This is today's cat. And I think he's a little mad because he's trying to eat and I interrupted him. Poor kitty. So the kitty count for today is 2, maybe more. It's hard to say how many are in here at once. There's 1. Oh, here's the other one. Count number 2, kitty. She's always pretty chill. The other one's chill too, but he's just more willful. This one is chill and less willful, so she could wait. The other one, he likes it what he wants, when he wants it, but he won't kill you over it, so that's the important thing. So yes, I'm becoming the crazy cat lady, I guess. Although they're not technically my cats, they're just visiting. Sorry, so I mean, so many weird things today. New and old inventions like revolver camera. You know, I've been running into a bunch of weird, like, camera stuff, like, gun stuff, like, there's a shield, and it has a gun, like, inset, and, okay, so this is actually kind of weird. A revolver camera that shot bullets and photos at the same time. 2011, huh? Used in 1938, this revolver camera was a Colt 38 with a tiny camera that would capture a photograph whenever the trigger was pulled. So what? So you could prove who you killed, I guess, with the mafia like that? I don't know. Yeah, I've not heard of that one. Nothing really surprises me anymore. So, yeah, somebody was saying, what? Mercury retrograde and Pluto retrograde. I don't know anything about Pluto retrograde. I guess, are all the retrogrades, like, bad? Looking through all the things. Okay, so given all that, I would say then that the last, I don't know, how long have we been in these retrogrades anyway? The last few days have been all right. Considering all that anyway. So I was like really, really tired over the weekend, but I definitely feel better now. I wouldn't say I'm at like peak, but it's just been, so I got some from Jackie, got some from Shari's, and then I'm going to go and get a bunch of my old ones and start digging through some of those, because I feel like it's kind of been a little slow, compared to at least recent months. It's not the slowest we've ever had, certainly, but so, okay, I'm kind of spaced out today, I'm sorry. So, yes, these things, grenadiers or rat tails, I think we might have had these on before, but I don't remember any, like, this big. But so there's this kind of fish, and apparently they're quite large, and they're a game fish, and they're all over the world, and they look like giant tadpoles, and so they have, like, the biggest eyeball to body ratio, I guess, which makes them look like tadpoles. So, like, this was one of them. Roughhead grenadier. I don't even know how to pronounce it, frankly. So, yeah, you tell me. It looks like a giant tadpole, no? Yes? Eye is way too big. So, I know we had giant tadpoles on before, where there was some kind of frog that sometimes the tadpole would just get stuck and keep growing but not turn into a frog. And I kind of predicted maybe we'd get something like that. Well, you know, we have. And I think I've had these on before, but it feels to me like the mouth has gotten larger and the eyes have just gotten a lot larger than the first time we had them on. So I'm like, okay, we'll have them on again. Plus, I needed something for the thumbnail. Okay, so this one, Jackie found this thing. I don't even know what to say about it. It's bizarre and creepy for starters. Maybe I'll read the thing. It has this. So we've had on before that there's like a fish that the female fish is huge and the male fish like kind of like fuses onto her and becomes vestigial. So that was sort of the weirdest one we had at the time. But now we have these green spoon worms. I'm just going to read off the story. It's these things. So this is not food it ate. That's just the shape of it, which constantly changes. And I'm not even sure why they call it spoon. Apparently, it can make a spoon shape with some body part, but I haven't really found the image that shows that looking like a spoon. Green spoonworms begin life colorless and adrift in a sexually undifferentiated larval state. Whether they end up male or female depends on where they settle and if that landing zone is located in unclaimed waters. If the spoonworm larva lands on the seafloor, it becomes female and begins to secrete a toxin called bonolin. Bonolin is responsible for a female worm's green hue, but it also plays an important role in the survival of her genes. Should another larva come in contact with this toxin, it would be masculinized and sucked into the spoonworm's body through her feeding proboscis. So I guess she like eats it, but she doesn't chomp it. Once inside, that freshly made male will receive a life sentence sperm bank duty without parole. The female holds masculinized larvae in her genital tract to be used as an on-demand fertilizer factory. Formerly known as environmental sex determination, this mechanism has been confirmed only in this particular spoonworm species, but it's possible that others employ it too. Entombed males have been found in B. viridis' close kin, but we don't know if similar biochemical warfare is involved in their development as well. All right, they've already got a fancy word for it, so I think we're going to see more of it. You men are kind of not getting the best end of the deal lately. Okay, so here is the spoonworm. Let me just take off the sound. Don't need that. So you see it kind of like changes shape and stuff. I don't know. I can't really exactly understand why it's called a spoonworm though. I mean, they said that it will make a spoon shape. So see here it's thin and then it does this and then like why? And that's not food in there. So why is it even doing that? Now it's got 2 lumps instead of 1 lump. I mean, like, I didn't really find an explanation why it, like, changes lumps. Is that part of its movement style? I mean, it seems a little bit excessive to just move along. Anyway, this thing is creature of nightmare. I mean, like, if this was an alien planet, then I would expect to see something like this. But I guess we are on an alien planet now. At least it's alien to where I came from. All right, so spoonworm. Ugh. I probably should have done that as a thumbnail, but I found it a little bit after I'd already done the other thumbnail. So, it's like, good enough. All right, I have that one on there. Spoonworms, yes. So that was from Jackie. Good find. Okay, this one was from Shari, and she mentioned it on Retconned, and this one's a big one for me. I don't know if you guys remember, but I think this was actually quite a number of years ago when Trump was the first round of his presidency. He had gone to Saudi Arabia, and there was circulating these images of him with his hand on this glowing ball, and one of the sheiks was there. And I just remembered this, like there was this guy and Trump. It's kind of bad because I forgot his name, but I don't remember this suited guy, but I just remember the image so different, and so did Shari, you know, and like most people on the subreddit also remembered it different. So one thing I remembered is it was much darker. And I remember like this ball thing was like sort of on a carried thing, and they were kind of walking, and Trump's head was like down, and he was like staring at it really intensely in a weird kind of way. Another thing that's on a lot of these images, but not this one now, is that you can see Melania in there in a lot of the images. And the whole image is just lighter. It was so dark before that you just see the glowing faces of the 2 nearby people, and that was it. And now it's light and you can see everybody. Now, I looked, I'm pretty sure Shari looked a lot. We couldn't find any images that look like the ones I saw before. Also, the camera angle is totally different. And I only remember Trump as the only suited guy with a suit like a suit. And everybody else was wearing the like traditional garb of Saudi. So, pardon me if I call it Saudi, but in my family, that's that's how it was referred to. I know it's not standard American, but my mom, we have some Filipinos in our family, and they always call it Saudi. So it kind of stuck. Okay, so that's one weird thing. It's too lit. Melania is in some of the images, although not this one. This is the closest one that I saw to my old timeline. But the camera was from way over here, way a distance. The other thing I really noticed is I don't remember there being any continents on this globe. So that made it like super creepy because it's like, what is that globe even doing? Like, what is it? What is the purpose of that? You just stick your hand on some creepy glowing globe. But now it's the Earth because it has the continents and stuff. So it's not that weird. It's also sitting on this permanent pedestal now. And there's a lot of images with Melania and everybody in it. And there's a lot of people wearing like Western style clothes. There's not, like it used to only be Trump, but now like this guy, I never saw this guy in any of the images. I don't even know who this is. Never saw Melania. I didn't see her. Part of it could be because there's more light now, but even so, you could kind of at least see the garb of the other people, and it wasn't like dark gray colored stuff. So, actually come to think of it, I'm not even sure if it was yellow. I thought it was more just white. I wouldn't swear to that. I've definitely seen those like kind of checkered head ones, but I'm not sure if it was in that one. But yeah, there's a lot of yellow in here, and that's the other thing that's kind of confused me. Anyway, it's totally different. Shari found this one. That was a good find. It does kind of light was orange. You know what? Not for me. I'm quite sure for me it was white. Yeah, I don't know, because it's a lot more symbolic, like we're all going to protect the earth kind of thing now. So you could say that it doesn't seem nearly as creepy as before because it is actually the globe instead of some weird, I don't know what. It was also the narrative that Trump was the only Western guy dancing the sword dance, and now 2 other people are doing it too. I did hear that. I don't actually, I didn't really check into that the first time, so I have no comment. It's all different, so it wouldn't surprise me if that part's different. I don't really remember seeing any other Western guys before. That was part of what was sort of strange about it, is you got Trump and then all these Saudis dressed in Saudi gear, and then there's this weird globe thing, which to my knowledge had nothing to do with any Saudi traditions, and there was no real explanation for what was going on. All right, let's see. Let me just go through a few of those. Let's see. Trump, Saudi. See, like these titles made sense back then. What was that glowing orb Trump touched? Well, it's obviously the Earth now. I don't know if I can read this. No, because it's Trump touched a glowing orb. I mean, it's a glowing globe now. It's not a glowing orb. See, there's Melania. There's obviously a bunch of other Western people. The other thing is, I don't see Trump at any point, like, staring into the globe. Like, I swear to God, it was like there was math questions on the globe, and he was trying to, solve them or something. I mean, that was the intensity of his stare, which was bizarre. And now he's just like his normal smug self, panning for the camera. All right, so what's the current story? Opening of the Globe Center for Combating Extremist Ideology. All right, so we have a story now. There was none before that I could find. The 3 leaders reportedly activated the new center when they placed their hands on a glowing and mystical orb, which glowed as an introduction video played behind them. See, like, they all called it an orb, almost all of them before. But now, I mean, wouldn't you just call it a globe? Reporting WAPO, reporting that the orb is actually a glowing globe that is an installation in the global center. Okay. Ugh, that one's weird. Okay, I think that one has been altered. Yes, that has definitely been altered. I mean, you don't need to report that that's the globe now because you can see the continents on it. It doesn't make any sense. Let me see what other images I can find here. Like, almost none. I assume that Simpson one came out after, because that would be really weird. So most of the ones I saw are actually more like this one now. And that now makes sense why there's a permanent pedestal thing, because in this timeline, this is an installation in the building. This guy also has a weird look on his face, and it was all solemn before, you know, now it's sort of goofy. So it's actually less creepy in this timeline. It's one of the few changes that has been a little bit less strange. Here is a video of the dance. Yeah, the press had a field day with the sorcerer. Yeah, I know, and it's just not as nearly as weird now that the continents are on there. I mean, I don't know, glowing globe of the earth. It's not that weird. All right, let me kill the sound because who knows if it's copyrighted. Oh, I do kind of remember this. Now that you mention it. You know, god dang, it was all dark and it was just different back then. The angle was different. I didn't know what this dance thing was. I do remember him being terrible at it. Actually, it still looks different though. There's Melania. All right, so this one's let me see, maybe this one. Okay, so now we have these two doing it. Everybody's all smiley and happy now. It was just sort of weird and solemn and creepy before. Yeah, definitely a lot less weird in this timeline. Yes, just a white orb, exactly. I actually really remember that because I was looking, going, what is that thing? And I read some things and there was no explanation on what in the heck they were doing. Yeah, the orb stand, I believe that it was on like a cushiony thing before and it looked like it was being carried. And now it's on a permanent stand. I mean, to be fair, if I had to suddenly go do the sword dance in Saudi, I would probably be terrible because you don't know when to whack the sword and when not, blah, blah, blah. So, although I could probably find many things that I could complain about Trump, I have to give him a pass on sucking at the sword dance. Okay, so we got that one. Maybe I'll just go through the ones I've already done. That one's done. So good find, Shari. All right, now this is an old one that I actually, strangely enough, I covered this like 7 years ago on Redcon, but I swear it has changed. And I probably did cover it on here 7 years ago, but the thing that happened was that it's really 7 years ago. Sorry, I'm totally spaced out today. So Now, if you get DNA in you from somebody else, it'll just like stay in you apparently instead of your body like getting rid of it. So viral DNA, whatever, but even just other human DNAs, okay? So this is supposed to be like, apparently now the story is this, it's called microchimerism. So the large scale chimerism is like when a large number of your cells are actually from having different DNA, which also was not possible in my old timeline. But now you can have, like, as a female, I can have DNA from my brother in me, perhaps, because supposedly if your brother's older than you and they like left DNA in your mother's womb, and then that DNA would, not only would she not get rid of it, but then it could get in you because you came after. And there's possible, probable, who knows what, a bull, that sexual intercourse could also now permanently leave DNA in there, and it doesn't go away. Okay, so, but here's what's changed is I do remember that part, but this is different because now it says, and even though I linked this study 7 years ago in retconned and found it again, now they're saying that the DNA goes into the brain. It was found in the brain of humans. So I'm like, what happened to the blood-brain border? Is it good for anything? But now, this study done in 2012, being billed as new in 2017, but it wasn't. I totally feel like it's covered for backwards in time here. But now the story is they demonstrated for the first time the presence of genetically distinct male cells in the brains of women. So now in 2012, it was just that it was in the brain. So even before 2012, they knew that that DNA was flopping around. They just didn't know it was in the brain. So this is like way backwards in time. The existence of male cells in the bodies of females in general is not news, as discussed in one blog post describing the 2012 study. Their presence is typically ascribed to cells from the male fetus from a prior pregnancy, except for the thing is when you start reading this, they found more than just one cells. It was more than just older brother's cells. So like, what the hell? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. But yeah, this brain thing. Let me just check on this not news thing. Can a fetus, this is new. Okay. Can a fetus send its own stem cells to repair its mother's damaged organs? Oh my God, can it? Because I don't remember anything about this. When is this? From 2023. Okay. Genetically distinct fetal cells can remain in a mother's body for decades after birth and can even incorporate themselves into her organs. Okay. This is interesting because I linked that other article like 7 years ago, but apparently that article is a wiki, so it was like updated. No, it's a Snopes. It was a Snopes and it was updated. So that does make things a little tricky, but during pregnancy, this is a claim. If the mother suffers organ damage, the baby in the womb sends stem cells to repair the damaged organs. A popular but citation-free science meme suggests this. While the wording of the meme is problematic because it says baby, which is incorrect as the term implies a birth, but the baby's still in there, so it doesn't count as a baby, apparently. It's a fetus. The transfer incorporation of fetal stem cells into the mother's organs is referred to as fetal-maternal microchimerism. It's defined as persistence of fetal cells in the mother for decades after pregnancy without any apparent rejection. Fetal microchimeric cells engraft the maternal bone marrow and are able to migrate through the circulation and reach tissue. So now they're just not like sticking on the next thing they see. They engraft them. How do they get in the bone marrow? I guess because they're in the circulation. The idea with fetal maternal chimerism is that those cells can be transported out of the fetal system and become fully integrated into the mother's system despite the cell's distinctly different genetics. Later research has demonstrated that these fetal cells can be found in multiple organs. 2015 study addressed the issue of fetal stem cells actually healing maternal organs. In this study, researchers made female mice with transgenic male mice that were tagged with fluorescent protein that allowed the researchers to trace the flow of the fetus's stem cells from the mother's placenta into its heart while they induced cardiac injury to the mother. They found that the fetal stem cells directly targeted the damaged cardiac cells and fully integrated themselves into the mother's heart. The research, the authors state, points to the presence of precise signals sensed by cells of fetal origin that enable them to target diseased myocardium. This is totally insane. So they're basically saying that the fetus's cells migrate into the mother and like repair damage because of it's got stem cells. So what, you can have babies now, you're going to get more healthy? Like it's going to repair damage? There's a wide body of research that suggests similar phenomena occur in humans. This is crazy town. Okay. I mean, I guess it's useful for mothers. What are they calling this thing again? It's called, not just microchimerism, but fetal maternal transfer. All right, I'm right. Let's put that in there. The thing is, what I see is that usually after people give birth, they're like less healthy. It takes a lot out of you. Now, maybe that'll change in the future, or maybe we'll find out they just needed more nutrients or something. All right, now I'm afraid to click on this wide body of research because what are we going to find next? Pregnancy-acquired fetal progenitor cells. Okay. Common in placental mammals. Fetal cell trafficking begins physiologically soon after implantation and is associated with pathological placental disruption. Functional consequences. Most fetal cells are cleared soon after delivery, but small number of these semi-allelogenic cells persist, suggesting their capacity to self-renew. That's kind of scary. I mean, like, can they just clone themselves? You have a baby, and then, like, 6 years later, you're pregnant, and you have another one because that same one. I mean, like, it's laying out for this stuff. Repairing maternal tissues reveals their plasticity. FMC are likely stem and progenitor cells. God, this is crazy. This is crazy. This actually, I'm just seeing this now with you guys. I mean, like, there's so many ways this could go. Last week it was Jenner, G-E-N. This week it's now back to G-N-N-E-R. Jenner. I swear there was like an A on there. J-E-N-N-A-R. Chris Jenner. I thought it was Jenner. Jenner doesn't look. I wouldn't swear to that one, but Bruce Jenner, I thought it was. I think the helix shape is a lie. Well, you know, one thing that's been sneaking in is that they're saying that there's like a third strand in some parts of the DNA. Let me see what the status of that one is because I haven't looked at that. 3-strand DNA. Triple-stranded DNA, also known as triplex, is rare and unusual. Has unique properties. Stability is less stable. It has been implicated in various biological processes such as gene regulation, chromatin structure, disease, aberrant triple-stranded DNA have been linked to certain diseases, can be artificially synthesized. All right. You know what? That's what the That was AI, so you gotta be a little careful on that. Hoogstein base pairing. I don't know. Now, it's not like saying where is it? Man, this is like complicated. Triple-stranded DNA structures were common hypotheses in the 1950s. Yeah, I don't remember anything about that. Hoogstein pairing is non-Watson-Crick interactions. The discoverer HDNA stretches in supercoiled plasmids piqued modern interest in the potential function of triplex structure in living cells. It was soon found that homopyrimidine and some other purine-rich oligonucleotides are able to form stable HDNA structure. Blah, blah. I don't know. It sounds like there's more now. I mean, I think I recall this being a very short little wiki. But it's so complex right now. I think it'll straighten out later, but... Oh, I'm not even answering that one. Okay. Joe, I don't remember anything about that traveling up the spinal cord, but you know what? Who knows? There was a fair number of people. Did I cover this last week? Maybe I did, but they remembered mini pigs, like teacup pigs. Like we have mini pigs that are like 80 pounds now, but they remembered like Chihuahua-sized pigs, several of them, and we don't have that now. So they came from a Chihuahua pig timeline. Green slime reported in New York. Okay, so I looked that story up. The story that they're going with is that they put dye in the water to look for leaks. I do feel that it's highly suspicious because this dye, green slime, New York. See if that's enough. Puzzled by green slime. I guess it's not really slime, it's just water, but supposedly they color this to look for leaks. And I guess it did leak, but then why is it bubbling out of the sewer also? Okay, I get what, it just sit down there until something oozed into 7th Avenue. Maybe it's because they do have a leak. But there's been a lot of this stuff coming up in the last couple years, and I don't know what to say. I feel like it's a symbolic of something, but I don't know what. There is a logical explanation for it in the current timeline, but I just don't remember that being a thing before. All right, there was no pineal gland when I was in high school. That showed up for me, and it was really tiny in the back and like deep in the head. And they were like, we don't even know what it's for. And then slowly it became more and more of a thing. And now it's like really important in regulation and functioning. Ooh, come here, kitty. Oh, you don't want to come. There was third kitty visiting, but sometimes they get a little freaked out by this background thing that I have here, the fake bricks. All right, so we did this one. Fetus sent its own stem cells. So what? I mean, like, you just get fetal stem cells and inject them, then you wouldn't need to have the whole fetus. But then what? I don't know. Would that open another can of worms? All right, I did the Saudi glowing thing. We did the slime. After Red Water in Sydney, I'm waiting for Moses. I do remember in the Bible it said like when the moon will turn red like blood, and we've already seen that. There was no blood red moons in my original timeline. I think there was some yammer about the like waters bleeding red, and we've seen that. And the first time it showed up, they said it was a chemical leak of unknown chemical, like you can't tell like by taking a sample. And then it started showing up that it was, oh, it's natural iron staining and blah, and they were claiming the red was from plumber's dye. Yeah, but see, in the official timeline, these dyes have been around for decades, but yet I never heard any stories about that until like the last 5 or 7 years, and now so many of them. All right, so now I'm going to go through some of my old ones. Wait, I think I didn't cover everything. No, I covered that one, that one. Oh, you know what? This is another Jackie one I want to cover. There's 2 more I want to cover. Okay, this one, first of all, you know that Polaroid camera where you take the photo and then the photo comes out. You're not supposed to shake them, but everybody shakes them and then they develop right there in your hand. Polaroid. Okay. When did those come out? Jackie already knows the answer, so you don't get to answer because you already know the answer. When do you think those things showed up? Because, you know, I'll give you a hint. I was alive when I remember those things showing up. So, Shari, apparently there are no micro pigs. I checked them 2 days ago. Yeah. I do remember the pineal gland from the 90s. Okay. Yeah, there wasn't any for me. And here's the thing. I mean, I did actually do a lot of brain anatomy and that kind of thing. And I got an A, I might add. The whole harbor was red. Okay, let's see. I mean, what are you going to stain the whole harbor? Sydney, Australia, red harbor, dye. Don't type dye since that's what they're claiming it is. In recent weeks, Sydney Harbor's water has turned a striking red color, leaving locals and authorities puzzled. After an investigation, officials have confirmed that the red dye was caused by plumber's dye. Specifically fluorescein, a non-toxic and odorless substance used to detect leaks in plumbing systems. There have been 2 separate incidences, September 2024 and December 2024. Likely dye used in an unauthorized or excessive manner. The source of the dye remains unknown. It's non-toxic and odorless. Sydney Water has confirmed it did not use the dye in the area. Let's go check out these images, shall we? All right, you guys spell harbor with a U. Might be better to put that in. Once is that the only image we have? That's definitely pretty creepy. Okay. I think this is the shore here. Dang. Water mysteriously turns red near Sydney Harbor. Is that only... You'd think there'd be more images. December 3, so that's really recent. That's interesting because I didn't even know about that. I just heard about Jackie's green sewer water. So what? I guess what? Fluorescent dye is coming out everywhere. And, you know, I really do not trust the government to tell the truth on any of this stuff anyways, after I saw how much they totally lied their pants off around here when there was that battery fire. Sid Harbor. Still only 2 photos. Water in Sydney Harbor. What? Is this a different one? Turned fluorescent green. Man, you guys have been busy over there in Sydney. What the heck? When did that happen? It turned green in September of this year. Okay, before it was saying 2 incidences of the dye. I assume they were both red, but now, let's try Google, shall we? Apparently one of them was green, or is this a third one? Oh, wait. Sid. All right, it's pouring out of this storm drain, supposedly. I think I had on a while ago where they like dye the water on purpose. Now, I know it wasn't Sydney. It was one of the harbors. They dye it on purpose for some holiday. Bright blue water flows from taps inside Delhi homes. I guess they just make all these different colors of this stuff now. Water at Maruba Beach was green. So what, any color that shows up, they'll go, oh, it's just this mysterious dye that mysteriously got here in some mysterious way that we don't know what it is. But don't worry, it's totally harmless. Alhurst Beach Club sand dye, the tradition of the green ocean. How do they even allow this? I mean, you'd think the environmentalists would pitch a fit over this. Continues the terrific tradition of dyeing the ocean water green. To the delight of hundreds, the tradition eventually moved to Allenhurst under passionate guidance of resident Freddie Lehman. So this is like spreading this tradition of dyeing the waters, which I had never heard of. Like 10 years ago, there was nothing like that. Yeah, nobody took a pic. I know. You would think that there'd be a bunch of like blog posts and all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. It was St. Patrick's Day. Maroubra. Oh, Maruba changed to Maroubra. I believe you. I really do. I don't know. Even if it's toxic waste in my old timeline, it wouldn't be like neon colored. That would be like on a cartoon. On a cartoon, if say radioactive material spread, they would make it bright green just so it'd be exciting in the cartoon, but it wasn't actually bright green in real life. My dad got one of those Polaroid cameras in the 70s. Lord Frybread says 79. I know they were around when I was a kid in the 70s. They were fairly new. It was the 70s. 4 red moves and 250. Yeah, there's been lots of, and you know, whenever there's like a big fire, the moons come up red now. It's just like normal. Oh, anywhere around, even a small fire. Oh, or if like smoke or pollen blows in from like Africa or something. Okay, so yeah, Polaroid. So Jackie found this. The first Polaroid was model 95 Polaroid. All right, 95A was actually after 95. I think I looked at this one before, but all right, unless it's changed since like 2 days ago, we would find that it came out, Model 95 came out in 1948. And I'm like, no, it came out in the 70s. Because I remember that time where like, this is so cool. You can get your film right away. You don't have to wait. Modern inventions, woo wah, woo wah. 48, that would be like an old school thing even before I was born. The first instant picture camera manufactured by Polaroid, 1948 to 1953 for the Model 95. Actually, when was the first instant camera picture not manufactured by Polaroid? The Polaroid land camera. There it was. 48 to 53. Crazy town. All right, when was the first instant picture camera? Invented by Samuel Schlafrock in 1923. Is often credited with being the inventor of instant photography with his camera, the Polaroid Model 95. Released in 48. Samuel Schlafrock invents the first instant camera. Edwin H. Land makes the first public demonstration of instant photography in 47. Right, this one's crediting it to Edwin Land. This is interesting. It's like the histories can't even agree. See, that shows the 95. Where's this Schlafrock one? Edwin. All right. Samuel Schlafrock. So the first one was actually 23. And the name was Schlafrock. All right, we'll try Wiki. Polaroid Corporation pioneered and patented the consumer-friendly version. Polaroid filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy the second time. I'm a little suspicious of that one, but can't be sure. Many different models, blah, blah. All right, they're not talking about Schlafrock here. The earliest instant cameras were conceived before Edwin Land's invention. These cameras were, however, more portable, wet, dark rooms than instant camera and were difficult to use. Fujifilm, Midnight and blah. They're totally ignoring this earlier stuff. I almost feel like it's kind of like the Schlafrock one hasn't really set into the timeline. I wonder if I check again in 6 months, there'll be a lot more on him. Check the link shared. It's ew. Okay, wait a minute. Where's the link? Is anybody from Australia here? Okay, we already did that one. Does anybody remember it being Courtney Cox? Not for me. That wasn't a spelling for me. But there's like all these different spelling memories now. Yeah, it just seems a little weird. Okay, green slime shows up. I guess it wasn't slime, it was just green water. And then over in Sydney, there's red. Oh, it just all happens to be dye. There is now a Polaroid headshot of Polaroid of the headshot to President Kennedy in 1963. Just watched Chris Anatra's video. Yes. That is interesting. I don't know if he found that independently from Jackie. I wouldn't be surprised. There was nothing about dye in the water yesterday. It was unknown why it turned red. Ooh. All right, let's see. When did this come out? Yesterday. It was a day ago. I mean, there's a chance you just missed it by a tad. But this was from 2 days ago, December 3rd. The ruby red waters reminded Aussies of a similar incident 12 years ago when whole beaches were stained red. 12 years ago. So that's not the same green incident. Where's the images of the red beaches then? Where is this coming from here? So they have red coming down this drainage system. Beaches. I want to see the images. If whole beaches changed to red, there should be images of red beaches, right? There's like nothing though. There should be hundreds of images because photography existed then. Red dye. Let's just type that in. Red dye. Sydney Harbor beaches. Okay. Oh, now it's the algae. The algae turn. Sydney's beaches closes. Algae turns the sea red, blood red. Come on. Some of Sydney's most popular beaches were closed and the water turned blood red. A few tourists reportedly feared it was the blood from a shark attack. But the color was caused by a bloom of algae. Bondi and Clovelly beaches closed as a safety precaution, while the red algae known as Noctiluca scintillans, or sea sparkle, is not particularly toxic. People are still advised to avoid swimming when there's discolored water. This is freaking red, though. All right, so does anybody remember that? When was this? This was... Oh, I hate it when there's no dates. When was it? All right, let's see when the comments are from. Comments, all comments. There's no comments. What's the date here? Oh. Dang, I don't think I can find the date on this one. Credit. Nothing. You know what I hate is when they don't put the date. Okay, maybe I could find it somewhere else. Maybe ABC News will have the date. It looks like that was 2012. There's no way. Can you? No. No. It has got quite a fishy smell to it. It can irritate some people's skin, but generally not much more. All right, so... That's interesting because I'm trying to find this other time when the beaches turn red from dye, but it just says algae on all of these. The Red Sea. It's too complicated to sort out now. Yeah, it could be anything. I don't know. The timeline's coming up with this stuff. Maybe it's different things in different timelines. Maybe if for some of us it's toxic waste and some of us it's dye, and then in 3 years we'll look back and it'll say it was algae. You know? Red water is flowing into the harbor from Milson Park on the lower North Shore. Sydney Council is investigating but has not found the source. All right, well, so somewhere up there is the source. Non-toxic plumber's dye is the likely cause. So do you even know? Maybe they're just making it up. It's like when we had all that stink here, obviously from the battery fire, and they said, we don't know what's causing the stink, but it's not from the battery fire. You don't know what's causing the stink, then how do you know it's not from the battery fire? It just happens to smell exactly like the stink from a battery fire, but it can't be that. Oh no. Can't trust the government, but you can't trust the timelines. It's like, The 2014 red algae was in Florida waters. Stop. Maybe it was everywhere. See, this definitely says is Aussies. The Aussies discovered blood red seawater in the city harbor with the U, which is definitely... Footage shows foaming bright red waves lapping around the base of the front wooden pier in Sydney. Okay, so you had red algae in Florida too, is what you're saying. I mean, like, we've had red algae here. They call it red algae, but it's not like blood red when we get red algae. Maybe it will be soon, but not yet. So what? The blooms in Florida are orange. Red tide algae bloom in the sea. What sea is it in? Is this Florida? The current Florida red tide has been going on since October 2017. 12 months. Okay. Red tide looks like someone emptied a boatload of rust. Okay, so you get orange red tides. Last I checked over here, empty beaches. Oh, yeah, a lot of green there. Last I checked over here, the water is just a little, I don't know, like dirty looking. It's not actually red. Like, it doesn't look like somebody bled or something. CERN now transport antimatter with a van. Since when do we have antimatter, and how the hell can they carry it in a van? I thought antimatter explodes if it touches matter. Like, what's the opposite of antimatter? Matter? So all the seas are turning all these colors. It's all just happens to be dye. It just bubbling out of the everywhere, and nobody knows where any of it's coming from. And all right, transports antimatter in a van. How are they keeping the antimatter from touching the matter? Physicists plan antimatter's first outing in a van. Then they will load the... This ambitious project aims to study the behavior of rare radioactive nuclei by using antimatter as a probe. Antimatter is difficult to store. This is due its tendency to annihilate with regular matter. The researchers will trap a cloud of antiprotons with a vacuum using magnetic and electric field. Okay, so they're trapping it with a magnetic field to prevent it from touching the matter. The trapped antiprotons will be loaded into a container located, let's see, to a neighboring experiment facility located a few hundred meters away. Using antimatter as a probe, scientists hope to gain insights into the fundamental processes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it seems like magnetic field is the answer to everything now. Vivian's law. That should be a requirement for articles to have a date, and it always used to be. But then it's kind of convenient for the Mandela, right? People are going nuts. Police had to put a guy down in Illinois. He was in old people's home with a chainsaw. Speaking of weird things. So, one of my friends had to go down to the Social Security Department 3 times because his money was not getting deposited, and they said yes, we sent it, and the bank said no, we didn't get it. And then the bank gave him this like printout of all the info that needed to be correct in order for the bank to get it, and he brought it to Social Security, and they looked at it and they said, yes, this is what we have, it's your bank's fault. He goes back to the bank says no, it's Social Security's fault. So the 3rd time today he went back to the Social Security, and she swears that what's on the paper is what is in his account, and it has to be the bank. So he finally says, look, can I just look at the screen and verify for myself? He looks at the screen, and he looks at this piece of paper, and there's a string of numbers that's like 10 long, and then she had -1 on her screen, and there was no -1 on the bank readout. And so he points out to her, look, this is different. You know, you guys kept telling me it's the same, but you have a -1. And she's all, oh, well, you know, we're not obsessive compulsive around here. And, you know, now, of course, it's very hard not to get mad. He does hold it together. But there is actually a sign at the Social Security that says it is illegal to kill or harass government workers. That's actually on the wall at the Social Security Department. It is illegal to kill government workers. In case you didn't know, it is illegal. I'm like, that's going to stop anybody who planned to kill you by you saying that it's illegal. So we had heard that sign was up there, and we're like, come on, it's not up there. It's up there. Now we have a photo from a photon. That's hurting my brain. The shape of light. Scientists reveal image of an individual photon. That's what it looks like, huh? I don't know what I thought it would look like. But it kind of looks like green dye. Speaking of the devil, it's a photo of a... How do you take a photo of a photon? It's hurting my brain. I mean, is that really a photo, or is it just sort of like a created image by kind of like all the Earth images? I'm kind of wondering if I really read this that I'll find out it's like a recreated images via the computer or something. A lemon-shaped particle of light emitted from the surface of a nanoparticle. Light's quantum behavior is well established. It doesn't really explain how he did it, does it? Manipulating these imaginary components allows many of the difficult terms in the equation to cancel each other out. Transform that continuum of real frequencies into a discrete set of complex frequencies. We simplify the equations. The team used the new calculations to model the properties of a photon emitted from the surface, describing the interactions. From these results, the team generated the first image of a photon. Oh, so this is generated. It's not an actual photo. It's a generated image. I hate it when they do that, and they do that so much now. It's not a photo because you didn't take a photo. You came up with a theory and a set of calculations, and then you generated an outcome from your theory, which is not the same thing. The shape change is complete with the environment. So you don't know if their theory is right. So we don't know if this is actually what a photon looks like. You know, I have to say, I went to the DMV recently. It went smoothly. I've actually had overall not too many problems with the DMV. Maybe I'm just lucky. But one of the problems is if you have a problem, it's a big problem because you got to have that stuff working. And if you can't chase down the problem, you don't get your money. And of course, you do have to wait like a half hour or more every time you go there. And it can be very frustrating. I read this about 10 years ago. They siphon off diverted antimatter particles from extremely high energy collisions and store them suspended in a magnetic field. Yeah. The magnetic field is the answer to everything. They can just hold it in the magnetic field. Cold fusion, they're holding it in a magnetic field. Everything. Now, if they can get it to where the energy from inside can be diverted back out to sustain the magnetic field, now we cookin'. It's limitless energy. Yeah, see, how do they keep it in the magnetic field as they drive when it probably costs a bajillion, the power to, what do they got, like a big old electrical cord or something? I don't get it, but I mean, is the truck like 50 feet long and it has a generator on it or what? Ah, yes. Okay, I agree with you. I also was suspicious of it. I hate it when they use photo and then you read it and it's not a photo. This is how polar bears look like. Let's take a little peek. What? No, they don't. Meet Fat Albert. He's the heaviest polar bear in Alaska. The average polar bear weighs 1,000 pounds. Fat Albert weighs 1,500 pounds. Dang. Okay. Let's just see what all... I was saying, like, in recent years, they look skinny. So, dang. Oh, they got fat again? I don't know. For years, they were looking skinny, and for a while, they said, oh, it's because there's not enough food on the Arctic, blah, blah. But then they were always that way. Look at how skinny those are. Maybe they just have way more range now. I've never seen one that skinny either. It looks like a man in a polar bear suit. Maybe it is a man in a polar bear suit. You can't try. The legs are so fluffy fat now. Oh my God. It does. They do. It's. I really feel like there's been a shift in these. Look at the silky legs. What's this? This all looks wrong. They're too fat. They're too skinny. Their heads look tiny. Their heads are too tiny. It looks even more dog-like. yeah, the fluffy legs and the tiny head. It seems like they're quite different than the last times I've looked. That one's a little closer. There seems to be just a huge range now. They get really skinny, they get really fat. I don't think their rib cages were even that thin before that they could get that thin, as I'm seeing some of these, though. Ooh. I mean, that one just looks fake. Head's too small. Snout's too small. So that's another thing. For me, all the bears, that's been a while, but all the polar bears used to be really snowy white like that last one I saw. And some years ago, I started complaining that they stopped looking snowy white. Most of them are not. I recall a quote from a physicist: torture the math long enough and it will confess to anything. That, I think, is most of science these days. I think we're entering a phase of like anti-science where we're going into just more intuition and weird stuff happening. Some birds can sleep while flying. Yeah, I think I had that on. There's those birds that fly for like 2 years straight and stuff now. All right, let's just see this Fat Albert polar bear. Fat Albert. You're right that they could have manipulated it. But 500 pounds overweight. If you were, you know, obese polar bear, there are a lot of images of it. It's dirty boy. So it might be legit. You're right to be suspicious. But there are a lot of images and they do look cohesive. That's a good call to question, though. I think I had on like a year or two ago. We're getting a lot of like overweight animals, even in the wild, showing up, which we didn't used to see. I'm kind of assuming that guy's not eating like burgers and fries. They can get math to do anything and have everyone believing something is real just because there's a math equation. Yeah, that's why I'm very suspicious of that photo of the photon. Okay, we got that. Okay, so yes, Polaroid cameras, good find, Jackie. This is another Jackie one. I think this will be the last one, and then we'll go to my historical stuff. And that is Frosty the Snowman. You know, I feel like I've been doing this so long. Some of these I'm like, did we cover that or not? Frosty the Snowman. Alright, I'll have an image, please. Frosty the Snowman. Is that how you remember Frosty the Snowman? Frosty the Snowman. More Frosty the Snowman. So this would be the 1969 Frosty. Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. More 1969 Frosty. Let me just make sure you could see that. Yes, you can still see that. Frosty Returns. I think this is a more modern one. Let me just double check. Frosty the Snowman. All right, that's the 69. That image one, that's weird because I click on Frosty Returns, which has a totally different image than that, and I just get to here, which is the old one. So I don't get to Frosty Returns. Let's see. Now I'm kind of curious if there is a Frosty Returns. Frosty Returns 93. All right, so it looked a little different in 93. I would still say that there's some things that are not right for me. All right, let's see. Hat used to be black. Now his hat look gray. All right, so yes, that is, wait, where am I? So this newer one looks like two-tone, which I don't remember. The whole hat looks weird for me. I'm trying to think like what it was before. I would say, first of all, that Jackie was saying it didn't have a pink flower in it. I agree with that. It was not two-toned. I think the brim is off. In some images, it's red. It still has the flower. That is not right. I think it was... I do remember like a top hat, but the kind of top hat that's straight up, like Lincoln used to wear. And I also remember like a tiny top hat. No, not a top hat. Like a tiny hat. More like that. But black. Doink here. This would be more like it, except for his head is tipped back and this hat is actually way bigger. I don't remember this pink. I don't remember this flower. I don't remember this gray. I don't remember the two-tone. There's something just off about it. But the pink flower, definitely do not remember the pink flower. This looks better here. This looks more like it. Even like that guy's hat is a little closer. This is a little more like it. So yeah, I agree. Something's off. The pink flower is only there for a short part in the film. I don't know, like all the images show it though. Alright, because it's here where the cop yells at him. It's here in this image. It is here in this image where they ring around the rosy. Because you can see the edge of it. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 images there. He's not in that one. 5 images. It's in all of those. So I wonder if I can find any of it on YouTube. Why am I typing it there? Okay, there's that, there's that. He's got it on here. It's on when the rabbit's there. I don't know. It seems like it's everywhere on here. There's no images that don't have it. Even this old one. This is the later version, I believe. That's the returns one. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's in all of the images. All right, let's see what we got here. This is a real unaltered picture taken by a photographer. What? Is it really? Wait a minute. How? I don't know. I'm a little suspicious about this. Can we make it larger? No. I mean, I do see some mixing of the colors here, but this ends here. What? Something I am having trouble processing that. I mean, it's Twitter, so do I trust it? Back to the post. No, I don't know. Yellow part on the top is a wall. The section below it is a reflection of the wall. All right, let's see. The yellow part, this is a wall. And this is a reflection of the wall. But I don't see, like, the edge of the wall is too straight. So I'm... Maybe if they put, like, some kind of art of, like, they did it on purpose. Like, they put some kind of screen in like that. And then waited for a bird to walk in front or something. But even so, I don't know. Wall, reflection of the wall in the water. Okay, but still, I still am confused. I'm sorry, but how do they make a edge of a wall that smooth like this? Like, this is the part that's a problem here. What wall has a perfect line like that? You can see it better here. Let's see. Okay, maybe. I don't know. It's still bugging me. I'm not going to say it isn't, but the line is too straight. Yeah, that's what... I don't know. This line still just looks too straight because there should be wiggles from this area here. I don't know. It could be some kind of AI image too, and that might explain it. I don't know. I'm suspicious. I'm not gonna come down on either side. I mean, I get what they're saying, but it just looks too straight on the edge. See, like right here, there's ripples in the water here and here, but there's no ripples in the shadow. But here they do mix, but here they don't mix. All right, so even if you want to give that this is a perfect line here, that doesn't explain the changes here. I'm wondering if it's an AI image, actually. So it'd be like close but no cigar. That's the kind of thing you run into. Beetles in every color. I just saw a really neat rainbow one. It's not in here, but there's ones like this now that have rainbow. So I do actually have some of the wings of one of, not this species, but another one that's really bright like that. There's a blue one. I've got a coppery one that's a little bit like that one. I have one that's like this one. I am really suspicious of those not having existed like 20 years ago, though. Gold beetle. Gold beetle we have had on. Those are cool. I think I've had this exact image on. That looks so fake. I kind of want to get some. You know, I should actually look and see if I can get a hold of some of those. Those have been on. Yes, I agree. They look ridiculous. All right, so we did those. I've had this on before, but I feel like it's kind of upgraded, and it's basically the backwards falls where the wind blows so hard it reverses it. So when I had the footage on before, I just felt like there was a little bit of reversal up here, but it just seems like it's like it goes down way lower now and then reverses. So I just wanted to put that back on there. It goes for longer. It looks more ridiculous. That's how it is, you know. It just like upgrades itself. It starts out almost believable, and then it becomes less and less believable. Skating dogs, skateboarding dogs. They've gotten so much better at it now. Wait, we don't need the song. That song's actually not bad, but copyright. This dog doesn't just stands on it. He's actually controlling it with his leaning. Then he jumps off. Then he jumps. He control. This is crazy. They were not this good at it before. And he goes on and on and on. He'll jump off. He'll correct it while he's off. Yeah, craziness. So, you know, the other thing I've noticed lately, just these last like 2 weeks, even 1 week, is there's so many images now of cats just going, "Excuse me. Excuse me," and then one of the strays here did that like yesterday, just like, "Excuse me." And I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world, but I've just never really had cats literally just, if they want something, I've had them touch me and try to get it, but I've never had them go tap tap like just like a human would, like, "I got your attention, so now I'll stop touching you." This one was just kind of interesting, too. I know I've covered the nictating membranes being really bizarre. I don't remember. First it came out, it was just some amphibians that had it. But so I guess eagles now, they just, what? Do they even have regular eyebrows anymore? The eyelashes or lids? They just use this nictating membrane for their blinking. This is slow-mo, of course, but everybody's getting nictating membranes now. Even cats have them, full nictating membranes that they just never use when they're, except for when they're sleeping for some bizarre reason. Why have them when you don't use them? So they say all cats do it. That all cats have a nictating membrane now. It's been a while now that they've had it, but they just don't use it. Like, why aren't they using it? Sahara. So there was that weird lake that showed up like it used to always be there, is the story, and now it's back after that big floods we had, and now they're saying, oh, it got more water and it's bigger again. So the California new old new lake is now more new. And then I saw this one, Sahara is filling up with lakes. This parts of the Sahara Desert floods for the first time in decades. What you want to bet those lakes are going to stick around? Parts of the Sahara, you getting lakes. I've been seeing more and more lakes in the deserts. Used to be this rare oasis thing. It would be like one big mud puddle in the middle of nowhere. Now it's this. Lakes and lakes and lakes. More rain fell in just 2 days than usually seen in an entire year. I'm betting you it's staying. So it'll shrink down some, and then it'll come back. And then it'll be even bigger, and then they'll say it was always there. This one was insane. And the more I think of this, I'm like, rats can drive little mini cars. Supposedly, you can train them to drive mini cars. So this guy gets his car, and he can drive it. This is supposedly actually him driving it with his little foot. And they can learn to, like, drive their car. And it talks about how some of them drive better than others. They were quick to pick it up. The pedal on the left turns the car to the left. The pedal on the right turns the car to the right. And so they navigate. They actually do, like, they're basically, there's treats, and they have to line the window of that car up just right, and then they can get the treat. And so rats can drive cars. Some of them apparently were better at it than others, but you can see they're pretty good. That's a treat on a dangly, so he is getting that treat. Our rats communicates with us in so many ways. Yeah, okay, so rats can drive cars, basically. Maybe not totally without accidents, but... Fish drove a vehicle. Fish can drive a vehicle. Really? Fish can drive. I don't even know what to type in. Scientists build a car that fish can drive. Oh, come on. All right, I'm going to write this down. Cats and fish can drive. Not cats, rats. Vehicles. All right, let's check out the fish. Oh, come on. I just want to see the fish driving. I don't want to see all the. I want to hear all this yapping. Fish driving. Wait, that isn't even the fish. Here. Right. So what, they swim at it and then it drives? But what, how does the, I mean, how do you know that the fish is goal-oriented? To get a reward. Okay, so if it drives it a certain way, it gets a reward. Fish robot like minion. Okay. I don't know. So I'm a little skeptical of that, because basically you're just training that if you swim a certain way, you'll get a reward. But did they actually understand they're in a vehicle and controlling it? The fish were trained to operate by using visual targets placed around a room and rewarding them with food when they reach them. Okay, so they just basically have to swim towards the target, and then they get closer and closer to the target. Okay, so you're training them to swim towards the target, is what you're really training. Whether they understand that they're in something that they are driving could be up for question. Maybe. If I dug more, maybe I'd find otherwise. Rats drive better than most people in my area. Starting to get that way, isn't it? Israeli prison relocated due to Jesus mosaic discovery. Okay. Let's see. Jesus mosaic discovery. One thing I've noticed is that the mosaics they find now, they used to be really scungy condition, and now tiles they're uncovered, they're almost like new. In order to save an important Christian mosaic discovered beneath its floor, the earliest known archaeological evidence that calls Jesus Christ divine. Hidden Jesus mosaic found under prison floor. Plans were made for new construction on the Megiddo prison in northern Israel to add another prison wing. During the process, it was discovered that the prison had been built over an amazing mosaic floor of an early Christian prayer hall, which had been carefully covered when the occupants left with a layer of roof tiles and wall plaster to ensure preservation. The building shows no signs of destruction. Oldest Christian prayer house found yet. Okay, so it wasn't just that one. There's a whole bunch of it. Don't forget the dogs driving in Australia and the cats. I've had those on, the dogs driving and the kids skateboarding cats. So first it was just dogs that would skateboard and they would just kind of stand on there for a minute or two. But now they're totally controlling it, and cats have gotten very good at it. But now I guess we're going to get rats. The turtles, there's been a lot of images of turtles on skateboards too. Orangutan drives a golf buggy. Mechanical lighter from 1800 will score. I don't know why. It looks like a genie's gonna fly out of it if you rub it. What do you think? Fancy. That is fancy. Dang. That's cool. Mechanical lighter. That is cool. They don't even make things that cool now. So, you know, having lived in the 70s, and we had sort of nice stuff back then, and it just seems like the stuff now is such garbage. I mean, like, you buy stuff and it breaks in 5 minutes and into the landfill, and it's all cheesy. I was trying to find like a radio so I could just turn the dial and find stations, and they suck now. I mean, they're just so... I wish I had one from... I do have one from the 70s, but it had gotten... You know, it's so old that it doesn't... Like, I had run the dial thousands of bajillions of times over the decades, and so it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't pull in the signal anymore. I almost feel like I should just try to have that repaired, because I tried to buy a replacement. I spent $60 for a effing ordinary radio, and it sucks. I actually spent less on the one I got eons ago. All right, enough rant. Mechanical lighter from 1800. I'm going to put that one on. It's interesting that it is so similar, too. The way it kind of works. No, it's really is just like better. It's better than what we have now. That's cool. I mean, I can't swear that's a Mandela, but it is cool. You know, I don't like to bag on Chinese stuff specifically anymore because I've actually gotten some pretty good Chinese stuff of late. And not all of it comes from China. Almost everything comes from China. And almost everything is just like cheap, cheap, cheap. The thing that bugged me about that is I couldn't find anything cheaper than like 40 or 60 bucks and they all suck. I mean, like, if they're going to suck, why am I paying 40 bucks? On the flip side, I got like this massager for muscles, and that thing is amazing. It's so powerful. It totally gets the knots out of your back. I love it, and it was only 20 bucks. So there's some really good stuff coming out of China right now, but then the old stuff, no. Hey, kitty. It kind of reminds me when I was a kid, they used to say that the Japanese stuff was all cheap crap. But then the Japanese stuff started kicking our butt, and it was way better. And it's kind of going like that. And some of the Chinese stuff is starting to be really good. I have a Fordham, which is like a souped up style of Dremel, because I just grind stuff here all the time. And there's the chuck handle thing that you use for the actual cutting part, and it died finally, and so I just didn't want to spend the money on another one. It was 80, so I bought this cheap Chinese one, and it was 20. But you know what? It's working just as good, and I've had it for like 6 months. I'm like, oh well, it probably won't last long, but we'll try. But no, it's been like 6 months. I use it every day, and it's working great. So like, some of the Chinese stuff is really starting to get better. And a lot of that cheap Chinese stuff, well, it's cheap though. It's $5. It's $8. So I can't complain. I can't complain about the radios, but you know what? You can't get them anywhere. Nobody has them. China's the only one who's even making any of them. So the thing is though, for that Fordham handle chuck thing, it was $20. And the Fordham ones are 80, like the OEM ones. So it wasn't expensive. I actually am very impressed. So the hypergravity centrifuge that China has could be used for transporting heavies. Hypergravity centrifuge. What even is that? Centrifuge. I mean, it sounds like you're spinning stuff around. How do you transport stuff by spinning it? Specialized device that simulates extreme gravitational forces. Okay, that actually sounds worse for carrying stuff around. So you're just spinning something so hard that it makes extreme gravity. It's like those rides at the... I've only been on it once, but there's a ride where it spins around and mashes you against the wall. 3 primary... Wait, I don't get how that helps you transport stuff, though. Let's see. 1,900 times Earth's gravity. Hypergravity... That's 0 gravity. Nope, I'm still confused how you can transport stuff. If you ever get a lamp and a djinn comes out, don't take the 3 wishes. They come with a big price. Is it like the monkey's paw? So if you don't know the monkey's paw story, it's basically like you get your wish, but it comes out, it happens in some grisly way. Like, oh, I wish I had $10,000. And then, like, your husband dies and you get $10,000 compensation. Something like that, you know. So that's the monkey's paw story. Okay, we got that. We got that. That is cool. You know, I have to say, if we made stuff in America right now, I don't think it would be any better quality. I actually think it would be worse quality because the work ethic right now is generally pretty bad. So people don't care. Like, they don't care if they do a good job. I'm not saying it's everybody, but there's a lot of people who are just like, whatever, just do the minimum. Just enough to not get fired. Even if you do get fired, who cares? I'll just go get another job somewhere else. You know, somehow I lost my original window. I think I deleted too much. I don't know if I'm suspicious that there's really like an entity that can just grant your wishes. I am suspicious about that. Especially like in advance. Just like, I want $1 million. Boosh. Boosh. There's $1 million. I like, it just shows up like on TV. I am suspicious if anything like that exists. I watched a video about the illusion of gravitational force, especially near the Earth's surface. Turns out there is no force. It's time dilation based on height. I don't know now. You've lost me. I'm sure we're getting a UFO before New Year. They're publishing too much. I don't know. It just seems like there's UFO stuff showing up all the time. Like there was just recently, there was like 4 somethings over the White House. I think it was. Let me do Google because then I can do the time. 4 UAPs over White House. Spell it properly. Glowing orbs spotted hovering over U.S. Capitol. All right, there they were. Now they were taken, images of them were taken from several different angles. So it's probably legit. The one that went viral was from an Air Force vet turned Washington, D.C. tour guide. So, okay, is it a plant? Now, they could have faked it from several angles if it was the government. That would be easy, but it's not like some low-quality fake anyway. One former parent... Okay, blah. Other eyewitnesses claim to have seen the same phenomenon from different vantage points, even capturing videos of stationary or slow-moving lights hovering over the D.C. Now, I'm kind of assuming... Okay, so it was over the Capitol building. Isn't that like a no-fly zone, though? I mean, you shouldn't even be allowed to put drones up there. I thought there was one over the White House, though. Let me just go to news. Maybe I'm confusing it with that Capitol one. So we've definitely had more hearings with even more interesting stuff in them. It was in Congress just a week or 2 ago. There is definitely... So what is it? Are we really going to get aliens? Or is it all like a scam by the government? Or is it one in one timeline and another in another timeline? Are we gonna actually just see like goofy lights? Or are they gonna freaking land? I mean, like, I don't even know at this point. I can see anything happening. UFO hovering over U.S. Capitol. Okay, yes. That's the one I just found. I might have been, I might have been thinking about that one a long time ago that for a while in our history was over the White House, but then it moved to be over something else and was never over the White House. And oh, yeah, some people are saying it's these weird lights reflected up here. But then what's like that one? I'm suspicious, though, because if it was just these lights, then wouldn't they always, like, wouldn't have this happened before? Plus, from other angles, it doesn't match. Because they look all strung out from other angles, so... Wait. I think that's it. And maybe that's how it is in the timeline now. There's always a possible explanation, but yet it's suspicious. Okay, so this guy, are we trying to say that this is like, here is also those same lights? Because how would those lights all make this strand up here? But there's lights like all over the city, and only these ones somehow projected up here, but there's like no clouds or anything. So what are they even projecting on? I mean, maybe like physics is so bizarre over here that this happens. But frankly, physics changing is even more weird than aliens landing. Oh, yes, it is time. It's time for me. We got to end the story on aliens instead of insects this week. Yes, that's my feeling too, Shari. That's why I'm very suspicious. It's almost like there's a story for everyone, you know? Those that don't want to believe there is this, but then if you dig more, it doesn't really hold, and then... All right. Thanks, everybody. And yes, thank you to the mods. Thanks, everybody, for coming, contributing a whole bunch of Mandelas. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.